News Central now. At this hour begins in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will swear in 7 new ministers on Monday, a step seen as crucial in his administration's restructuring. Bayo Onanuga, the president's special advisor on information and strategy, announced the ceremony. The new ministers approved by the Senate last week will lead key sectors. Appointments include Dr. Nentawe Yilwatda for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Muhammadu Maigari Dingyadi for Labor and Employment, and Bianca Odinaka Odumegwu-Ojukwu for State Foreign Affairs. Other appointments are Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, Minister of Trade and Investment, Idi Mukhtar Maiha, Minister of Livestock Development, Yusuf Abdullahi Ata, Minister of State for Housing and Urban Development, and Dr. Suwaiba Said Ahmad, Minister of State for Education. This reshuffle follows months of public calls for reform. The presidency has denied claims that President Bola Tinubu's administration is favoring the Southwest in security appointments. Critics questioned the appointment of Major General Oluremi Oluyede as acting Chief of Army Staff, alleging regional bias. However, Presidential Advisor on Public Communications, Sunday Dare, refuted this on social media, providing a breakdown of appointments across regions. According to Dare, the Northwest leads with 8 security appointments, followed by the Southwest with 5, North Central with 4, Northeast with 3, and 1 each from South-South and Southeast. Dare stated facts don't lie. The data shows a balanced approach to security appointments, and the claim of favoritism does not fit. The Senate has pledged to eliminate illegal activities in Nigeria's mining sector to protect lives and increase federal revenue. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Solid Minerals, Senator Samson Ekong, emphasized this commitment during a visit to Niger State Governor Sani Bago. The committee's visit follows the recent collapse of a mining pit in Shiroro, which claimed around 30 lives. Senator Ekong, along with other committee members, expressed condolences to the people of Niger State and outlined the Senate's plan to investigate the causes and prevent future tragedies. Ekong noted that unauthorized mining practices continue to undermine Nigeria's multi-billion-dollar mining sector, posing environmental and safety risks due to unregulated crude operations. And now to politics. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has revealed that the current political crisis rocking the state is for the sole control of the state's resources. This is as he assured Rivers people that he will continue to utilize the state's resources judiciously for the betterment and overall interest of the people. Governor Fubara made the revelation at an event in Mbodo, Alu, near Port Harcourt on Sunday. The governor, however, sued for continuous prayers from the church in order for his administration to remain focused with a view to achieving the purpose of governance.
God will bless you people for your prayers, and we assure you we will not fail you. We will not fail you. There is a reason for all this crisis, and that reason is the control of the resources of River State. River State resources belong to you, and we will make sure that that resources is applied judiciously for the betterment of River State. What you owe us is just one thing: continue to pray for us. Let us not lose focus, because we know the devil is always at work to derail people in governance. Continue to pray for us so that we hold what is most important, the interests of the people there. And I believe with your prayers, we will not lose focus. The purpose of governance will be achieved in our state.
Reactions have continued to trail the detention and trial of some minors at the Federal High Court, Abuja. This time, a civil society group, Women Aid Collective Nigeria, has urged the federal government to redirect offending minors from formal judicial processes and to separate children from adults in detention facilities. The CSO also stated that detention and trial of minors should be a last resort, adding that where necessary, a juvenile court should handle the proceedings. Recall that the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, had on Friday arraigned 76 #End Bad Governance protesters before Justice Obiora Egwatu of the Federal High Court in Abuja, among whom were minors. Foremost Nigerian business moguls have underscored how effective corporate governance can shape a thriving entrepreneurial landscape. They argue that the good governance is foundational for creating a business environment rooted in accountability, transparency, and resilience. This structured approach aligns a company's actions with the market's needs, making it adaptable to changing economic trends and technological advancements. News Central's correspondent Lekan Onobanjo tells us more in this report.
Is the system of rules, practices, and processes that control and direct a company. It establishes the rights and responsibilities of stakeholders, managers, and the board, and sets rules for decision-making. The failure to adopt this system might ultimately reduce growth. This notion comes to the fore as business tycoons bemoan the lifespan, impact, and operations of indigenous enterprises in Nigeria.
The way the world is looking at us is because even in the government sector that we are not ready yet to allow the rule of corporate governance to rule us and follow that principle. If we do, we will make a quantum leap that the world will be actually amazed at the level of acceleration of growth that will happen in this economy.
Sustainability and good governance cannot be overemphasized in the growth, how it impacts the growth of SME and the growth of any enterprise as it will.
For us to democratize access in itself, either access to finance, access to market, access to capacity development, access to mentors, we need to actually build the capacity. We need to actually infuse good corporate governance, good governance into the structure of our small businesses across the states and FCT.
They say businesses that prioritize the establishment of corporate structures will gain competitive edge as they become reliable and attractive to investors.
If you are going somewhere, it must be clear in your mind that you need the right kind of people who possess this requirement to be able to help you structure in the place. Therefore, you must not be egoistic. That's number one. If your ego is what rules you, you can never have proper corporate governance in your organization.
Entrepreneurs also opine that businesses take risks to survive, but making some critical decisions can create buffers for sustenance.
Business is difficult now in Nigeria, so to stay afloat, you have to look at your cost model properly. You have to understand your costing, and you also have to use economics of scale so that you can produce more, because profit margin is dropping.
The owner have a clear vision of where he's taking the business. He will meet challenge, but those tough times never last. What lasts is tough people to, withstand the time. Those who manage well at this time, who put really system and processes in place with like corporate governance, are the people who are going to rule and take over the market ultimately.
Through corporate governance, companies can facilitate these qualities by fostering an environment where innovation is encouraged and aligned with clear ethical standards. In Lagos for News Central, Lekan Onobanjo.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Dangote Refinery has clarified its petrol pricing following claims by Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, and Petroleum Products Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, Petron, that they are importing cheaper fuel. Responding to IPMAN's statement, Dangote confirmed that it sells petrol at 999 naira per litre into trucks and 960 naira per litre into ships, adhering to the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited pricing benchmark. Now, in a statement signed by Anthony Chejina, Group Chief Branding and Communications Officer, Dangote noted concerns over an international company using a nearby depot to blend and sell substandard fuel to compete with their higher quality products. The statement warned of health risks and vehicle damage from low-quality imports, criticizing regulatory agencies for insufficient testing capabilities. And now to politics. The Zenith Labour Party has secured a sweeping victory, winning 15 out of 17 local government areas in the local government elections held on November 2nd in Abia State, while the Young Progressive Party clinched the remaining 2 local government areas. The results were officially announced by the chairman of the Abia State Independent Electoral Commission, Professor George Chima, at the commission's headquarters in Umuahia on Saturday. Professor Chima highlighted the significance of the election, noting that it marked the first time in recent years that over 12 political parties participated in the local polls, describing this as a milestone achievement for the commission. He affirmed that the election was conducted across all 17 local government areas and described the process as free, fair, and credible. Professor Chima extended congratulations to both the victors and the opposition and called for peace and unity in Abia State. He also thanked security agencies for their support and recommended the political parties for adhering to electoral rules.
We have been able to conclude a task that ordinarily will take some 6 to 12 months. We have been able to complete it under 2 months. The results have been published. I congratulate the winners. I also congratulate the losers. In an election, there must be a winner and there must be a loser. Thank God that Abia has been peaceful, and I want them to maintain that peace and harmony that has been existing in Abia State.
Still on the Abia State local government elections, News Central's Chinwe Ugele has more on this.
Inside this packed hall of the Abia State Independent Electoral Commission are chairman-elect and their deputies with a few party members from the Labour, Zenith Labour, and Young Progressive Party.
Hold on. Good afternoon.
The occasion is the presentation of certificates of return to those declared winner by the state electoral body on Saturday.
This way. This way.
One after the other, they collected their legal document that legitimizes their new status, as stated by the chairman, Professor George Chima.
Because if you don't have it, you have not been. You are not given that instrument of power, because it is the certificate of returns that will qualify you to be inaugurated tomorrow.
While it seems as though everyone has moved on from the Saturday's election, with the quiet in the state, the ruling Labour Party, which did not clinch a single local government, appears comfortable with the new development, even as a factional chairman of the party attends the ceremony. If people have accepted their fate the way it is, it means real governance will commence for the chairman and their councillors once they are inaugurated.
Power to go work for the people. It's not excitement, actually. It is a sense of responsibility.
The new chairman, otherwise known as mayors in Abia State, say they are poised to tackle the tasks ahead of them to suit the needs of their people.
I want to see areas where we can subject those things, those produce into a process of enhancing the value chain. Okay. For instance, by the time you are doing that, you are invariably providing employment to people.
So we look at what we call comparative advantage. Ours is agriculture, but there are lots of impediments to that agriculture. So we are going to do all we can to remove those impediments.
A tenure of 4 years will begin to count once their inauguration takes place, and within which period they are expected to handle several projects having been granted full autonomy by the Supreme Court. In Umuahia for News Central, I am Chinwe Ugeli.
To security and crime-related stories, operatives of the Nigerian police force have arrested no fewer than 130 suspects for high-level cyber crimes. Among the suspects are 113 foreign nationals, comprising of 87 males and 26 females from China and Malaysia. The force spokesperson, Muyiwa Adejobi, added that 17 of the suspects were Nigerian. He said the suspects were arrested at a building at the next cash and carry area in Jahi area of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Meanwhile, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has intercepted a major cocaine smuggling attempt at Lagos Murtala Mohammed International Airport. NDLEA operatives recovered 845 wraps of cocaine weighing 18.72 kilograms and worth an estimated 4.49 billion naira from an Ethiopian Airlines flight arriving from Addis Ababa. The drugs were concealed in lavatories on board the aircraft, prompting swift action from NDLEA officials after a tip-off. Over 30 suspects have been questioned in connection with the case. Additionally, NDLEA thwarted attempts to export cocaine, cannabis, and tramadol concealed in body cream containers and artwork through Lagos Courier Services. Another operation at Apapa Seaport led to the seizure of 754,000 pills of tapentadol and asthmatohine valued at 525 million naira. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has clarified that Nigerians in Libya are safe and continuing their daily activities without harassment following a recent Confederation of African Football decision against the Libyan Football Association. CAF had found the Libyan Association responsible for the mistreatment of Nigeria's team and officials during a Nations Cup qualifying match in Libya. Contrary to reports, the ministry assured Nigerians that no reprisals have been reported. Spokesperson Ambassador Eche Abuobe emphasized that the well-being of Nigerian citizens worldwide remains a top priority for the federal government, which is committed to protecting them at all times. In a major development among Nigerians in the diaspora, over 150 members of the Nigerians in Diaspora Organization Europe, NIDO, have dissolved the leadership of the Central Executive Committee led by Bashiru Obasekola. At a recent meeting, more than 95% of attendees passed a vote of no confidence, citing alleged mismanagement, constitutional violations, and financial accountability issues. Both the Central Executive and Electoral Committees were dissolved, and a 7-member caretaker committee was appointed to oversee NIDO's operations and organize transparent elections within the next year. However, NIDO's legal advisor, Ursula Atuei, rejected the decision, calling it legally void. Obasekola, the former leader, claimed the move was an attempt to hijack the organization, insisting the Central Executive Committee remains intact under his leadership. To discuss this, we're joined by Dr. Bashir Obasekola, Continental Chairman, Nigerians in Diaspora Organization Europe, NIDO Europe. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me.
So go ahead and tell us, what your thoughts are on the legal implications of the dissolution of NIDO leadership. How has it affected you, particularly given the conflicting stance of the caretaker committee and, the former leadership?
Thank you very much. It is inconsequential. The people, the disgruntled members who gathered themselves into an EGM, an illegal EGM for that matter, they are not members of the organization in good standing. By virtue of the law, any member who wished to be, to participate in AGM must have been in good standing financially and otherwise. So some of these people that gather themselves, they are just disgruntled members who felt aggrieved by the result of election or nomination process for the upcoming election in Athens, Greece. What happened was that some of these people were interested in particular candidates, and in the process of back and forth of nomination process, they lost out in the elections of the board of the endorsement process that was carried out according to our constitution of candidates to election. So having lost out in that struggle, they now gather themselves together to create chaos and distraction from the AGM that is coming up next weekend in Greece, Athens in Greece. So these are people who are not consequential in terms of the processes and the legal implication of the structure. The Central Executive Council under my leadership remain intact. The board remain intact, and we are going to the AGM next weekend to elect new administration for this organization. So we are very focused. The individuals who are parading themselves as a caretaker committee members, like I mentioned, they are not of good standing, though they wouldn't have even participated in the AGM if they had even attended, because they have not, at the time as at when due, did not, satisfy their financial obligation to the organization. So that is the legal way. And as you have mentioned earlier, our legal advisors and even previous legal advisors had also issued statements on this issue. So we are not partook by that. So we are preparing for our elections, and that will take place, next weekend.
Okay, but what measures would you take, to prevent similar deviations in future?
Well, is to make sure that members are disciplined. They are focused on what the law says. Nobody should take laws into their hand. The people who requisitioned EGM, claiming that the law, the Company House Act in UK permits minority to requisite, to place a requisition for EGM. And if the Executive Council refuse, to hold meeting, they could have gone to court to compel us to do that. But taking laws into their hand by organizing, what we call hijacking and illegal assembly, calling it an EGM, is contrary to our law. And as a result, they are also punishable under our disciplinary committee, disciplinary guidelines. So we are going to, not, being distracted by all these shenanigans. What we're concentrating on is our election that is coming up next weekend. The candidates are all known. They have gone through all the processes of nomination and all the processes of campaigning. They are going there for elections, and we will surely be happy to have a new regime that comes in place after my 4 years of office. We have done a lot of things. For the first time after 20 years or more than 20 years of existence of this organization, we'll have able to impact on people directly, not by mere remittances or by workshops, but concrete things are being done. And that's one of the reasons that is driving crazy some of these people who have been in offices sometime or the other, now looking, towards, our side to feel jealous of what would have been achieved within this, 2 years or this last 2 years. So we are focused on that, and that achievement galvanized more Nigerians in diaspora, expanding the scope and the membership of the organization is our focus. And we believe that we should be able to do that, making sure that all the young people who are now, in the aim of affairs should be encouraged, not even continue to be dragged back by the old people who feel that they are the stakeholders or the godfathers and godmothers, that without them, the youth cannot, move forward. So we are supporting the youth that are coming up, and that is our focus now.
Okay, so just before we let you go, how do you intend to balance the interests of, various chapters and stakeholders within NIDO, at the same time maintaining the organization's overall mission and objectives?
Yeah, we are very focused. The chapters are in place. Of course, some of the leadership are, in the other group of disgruntled members. But nevertheless, the strength and the fact that the youth are now being given the opportunity is even giving them more, is motivating them in the chapters. So more chapters are even getting more membership now drive, more than what we had before, when they believe that without you having a godfather within the system, you cannot move, you cannot participate. So we want to remove that barrier. We want to make sure that people have access to this organization because it belongs to all Nigerians. So we will continue to drive that. And I think that will be the panacea of, these issues of few people who continuously be, at the center of this, of this organization without allowing the new blood to come into the system. My regime has opened the door for the youth, and I think we should continue to do that to make sure the youth have the way, rather than what we had before, where a few people will continue to be the godfather and godmothers and forming themselves to cabals.
All right, well, thank you so much, Dr. Obasekola, for speaking to us on this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Moving away from that, the 5 Nigerian boys who were rescued from the den of traffickers in Ghana have departed Accra and are on their way back home to be reunited with their families in Nigeria. You will recall that 2 teenage boys, Daniel and Zeal, who had been lured to Ghana in the guise of job opportunities, but ended up with traffickers who had deployed them to work in internet fraud activities, had sent out an SOS that got to News Central. Acting on the information from their family and following in-depth investigation, News Central had teamed up with the Ghanaian Police Service to successfully rescue them and 3 other Nigerian teenagers and a Ghanaian on Monday, 28th October. The police also arrested 2 suspects who are helping with further investigations. The rescued Nigerian boys are on their way home now to Nigeria and would hopefully join us in subsequent bulletins to tell us more about their experience. Now let's move to health, where Nigeria's federal government has been urged to adopt prevention and control strategies in a bid to contain the spread of Lassa fever in the country. This was during a Lassa fever roundtable organized by the Nigerian Red Cross Society and the International Committee of the Red Cross, where they say the disease has currently spread to about 28 states of the nation as of October this year. Amadin Uyi reports.
According to available data, Nigeria is currently experiencing its worst outbreak of Lassa fever this year. About 8,000 cases, including 174 deaths, have been recorded, affecting almost 28 states as of October 2024. Among these include about 30 healthcare workers.
The Lassa fever outbreak in Nigeria this year took an alarming turn, with the disease spreading areas that have never reported cases before.
Currently in Nigeria, we have multiple outbreaks. We are responding to cholera, we have mpox, and now Lassa fever will be looked into.
In a bid to contain the spread of Lassa fever, the Nigerian Red Cross Society has held a roundtable to strategize on efforts aimed at mobilizing community stakeholders and putting in place preventive efforts aimed at combating its effects on rural communities. the Deputy Director of the Outbreak Unit of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, urged stakeholders present to adopt the Infection, Prevention and Control Strategy, also known as IPC, which is key to stopping its spread.
IPC will be one of the measures, is the strategy we have to employ too, to talk to the community, to tell them, how they can protect themselves.
The Director of Health and Care of the Nigeria Red Cross Society says that much has been done to stop the spread of Lassa fever, while the operational coordinator of the International Federation of the Red Cross called for more work to be done with communities affected to eradicate the disease.
As you know, rats are responsible for as the vector for the Lassa. So part of what we do, we distribute a lot of rat traps to vulnerable communities. We also know how hygiene promotion is key in the response to Lassa. So we also distribute disinfectants. We distributed some soaps so that people can improve their hygiene.
So we need to still working with the community, trying to engage community participants, community leaders, and also, of course, the government and other partners to raise the awareness of communities throughout this project that we're implementing, and actually try to get some leaders also at the level of the community to adopt some basic hygiene attitude, and we're sure that this will actually help to reduce and eradicate, hopefully, this type of diseases.
The forum aims to marshal out a decisive strategy to ensure that Nigeria effectively contains the spread of Lassa fever. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Let's now head to the eastern part of the continent, where at least 13 people were shot dead on Sunday in an attack blamed on Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces in Al Jazeera state south of Khartoum. The rapid support forces were said to have opened fire on civilians in the town of Al Hilaliya in eastern Al Jazeera state, about 70 kilometers north of the state capital, Wad Madani. Sudan has since 2023 seen a civil war between two major rival factions of the military government of Sudan, the Sudanese Armed Forces under Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. The Botswana elections results have left many surprises, and with so much at stake, the recent elections that saw the Botswana Democratic Party lose its long-held grip on power. News Central's Bongani Siziba was in the streets of Gaborone and spoke to citizens who shed light on their thoughts and feelings and what they believe the Botswana Democratic Party failed to do that led to its defeat.
BDP missed it by thinking that they have the youth in their hands when in actual fact they didn't. I think when it came to their rallies, they were a bit overexcited and they thought, no, we have this, when in actual fact they didn't. Issues of consulting, I'll still go back to that. They failed to even consult with the youth who were the primary voters of these elections. I think they focused more on the elderly people and forgot about us. And the youth had one word, one voice, and they stuck with the UDC and they said, we're taking the BDP out, and they did exactly that.
I feel they missed it because they didn't necessarily understand what economic diversification is supposed to look like. It's about creating a market for the people. When there's high employment rates, this means that there's more liquidity in the market and people are more able to purchase more goods and services, and it attracts also foreign investors. So we have a small population, but the connection between skills development in our country with the population doesn't necessarily correlate.
One of the ways in which the BDP did wrong was their consultation, the way they talked to the people. They didn't really consult people in a lot of things. They just did things on their own. Their manifestos, I'm not even sure if they were people-based.
To be honest, I didn't think the BDP will lose the grip on power because knowing Botswana for the longest time they've been afraid of change, but eventually it happened. I think at this moment I'm indifferent because I think with the change in government, they can either do great things or they can either do bad things. So at this moment.
South African police announced Sunday that 225 illegal miners were arrested after surfacing or resurfacing from an abandoned mine shaft due to starvation and dehydration. The miners, called Zamazamas, were forced out when police blocked routes used by their accomplices to deliver food and water to the Orkney mine in Northwest Province. According to police, hundreds more illegal miners are believed to be trapped underground. Acting National Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Shedrack Sibiya, reported that over 13,000 illegal miners have been arrested across 7 provinces since December 2023. Authorities have seized millions in cash and uncut diamonds in the ongoing crackdown. Illegal mining remains a significant issue in South Africa, impacting local communities and mining companies alike. Former President Donald Trump, during a campaign rally in North Carolina, described November 5, 2024 as Liberation Day and pledged to implement the largest deportation plan in U.S. history if elected, I beg your pardon. Trump described the habitation of foreigners in the United States as an invasion and promised to rescue every city and town. National polling has Trump and Harris neck to neck as Trump hopes to win the presidential elections. And now, up next is business news.
In business, the federal government of Nigeria has set January 28, 2025 as the deadline to launch the $5 billion Africa Energy Bank in Abuja. The announcement was made by Ambassador Nicholas Agboela, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, during the 19th Executive Board meeting of the African Petroleum Producers Organization in Yaoundé, Cameroon. While highlighting Nigeria's dedication to Apple's goals, Ambassador Ella stated that AEB will address financing gaps in Africa's oil and gas sector, fostering investment and development across the continent. The initiative reflects Nigeria's strategic role in advancing regional energy infrastructure. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Customs Service has successfully facilitated the country's inaugural export to Kenya under the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Olusegun Olutayo, senior trade expert and lead at the Nigeria AFTA Coordination Office, announced this after verifying documentation at the Apapa Area Command. Olutayo emphasized the collaborative nature of the AFTA, noting that Nigeria coordinated with Ghana's AFTA Secretariat and Kenya's Implementation Committee to facilitate the trade. And on a foreign scene, the European Union has imposed tariffs of up to 45% on electric vehicles imported from China, escalating trade tensions between the two economic giants. This move comes after months of negotiations and threats of retaliation from both sides. The EU's decision aims to protect its domestic auto industry, particularly as Chinese manufacturers like BYD have rapidly gained market share globally. However, the tariffs have drawn criticism from European automakers like Mercedes-Benz and BMW, who fear negative consequences for their operations in China. Both the EU and China are now engaged in ongoing negotiations to find a mutually beneficial solution. While the EU remains open to dialogue, it has emphasized its commitment to protecting its interests. China, on the other hand, has threatened to retaliate with its own tariffs and other measures. And that's all offering on business news at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasame Peter. The news continues shortly.
And in sports, Ikorodu City Football Club and Rivers United unbeaten in Lagos. Meanwhile, in table tennis, Aruna Kwadri defeats Tomokazu Sharimoto to reach next round of WTT champions Frankfurt. Join us or join Favor Itwa for more updates.
And in sports, Nigeria Women's Basketball League champion MFM have arrived in Liberia for the Africa Women's Basketball League qualifiers. The team heads into the FIBA Africa Zone 3 tournament fortified by 4 standout players from Nigeria's under-18 squad, all bound for the 2025 World Cup. These young stars include national team captain Wandu Mbam Mavis, Aminatu Ayoka Yodeji, standard guard Idumabo Begi Pius, and Abigail Isaac, bringing both talent and energy to the squad. MFM will join Nigeria Custom and teams from Liberia, Benin Republic, and Cote d'Ivoire in the competition, which kicks off on Monday, November 4, 2024. The tournament promises fierce competition as teams vie for a place in the AWBL. And now to table tennis. Nigeria's Aruna Quadri electrified the Swag Energy Arena with a remarkable performance on the opening day of the WTT Champions Frankfurt 2024. Aruna, ranked 21st in the world, pulled off a stunning 3-2 comeback victory against Japan's number 5 seed, Tomokazu Arimoto. This victory marked Aruna's significant win of the day, thrilling the German fans with what can be described as one of his best displays in recent times. In the fifth and final game, Aruna played with immense confidence and freedom, dominating the fast exchanges and shifting the momentum firmly in his favor. In the round of 16, Aruna will now face the winner between Spain's Alvaro Robles and Germany's Ricardo Walter. Meanwhile, 2024 African champion Omar Assad of Egypt failed to go beyond the first round of the men's singles after losing to Sweden's Anton Kalbeck 3-0. And now to the world of football. Newly promoted Ikorodu City FC from Lagos stunned Rivers United, ending their unbeaten run with a 2-0 victory. Ayomide Cole opened the scoring in the 48th minute, netting his first goal of the season by tapping in a well-placed cross from Waliu Ojetayo. Later, substitute Rivio Ayanwere doubled the lead, expertly finishing a low cross from Ajayigbe Toib. Meanwhile, Remo Stars secured a 1-0 win over Lobby Stars in Ikene thanks to a 47-minute header from Michael Ibe. In the Oriental Derby, Heartland picked their first away point with a victory over Abia Warriors, and Benel Insurance earned had 3 points at Deep Dina Stadium in Djibouti against Sunshine Stars. And now to Italian football. Super Eagles forward Ademola Lookman's first half brace powered Atalanta to a 3-0 victory over Napoli on Sunday, ending Napoli's recent winning streak. Lookman struck in the 10th and 31st minutes, quieting the home crowd as Atalanta took control. The 27-year-old forward reached a personal milestone on Monday, rising to 14th in the 2024 Ballon d'Or rankings. Atalanta's win was capped off by Matteo Retegui's goal in stoppage time, sealing a dominant performance for the Bergamo side. Prior to this clash, Napoli held a strong record with 4 wins in their last 5 head-to-head encounters, while Atalanta had managed only one, a similar 3-0 triumph at Napoli's home ground in the previous season's reverse fixture. And to wrap up sports update, Iga Swiatek began a bid to regain the world #1 ranking with a comeback success over Barbora Krejcikova at the WTA finals. Poland's Swiatek trailed the Wimbledon champion by set and double break before regrouping to win 4-6, 7-5, 6-2. This was the 23-year-old's first match since a quarterfinal US Open exit in September and first under new coach Wim Fissette. She and Aryna Sabalenka are in contention to finish the year as the top-ranked player. Defending champion Swiatek will need to win the title to replace Sabalenka, while the Belarusian needs to win all 3 round-robin matches, external or reach the final. And that wraps it up on Sports Update. I'm Favor Itwa.
And that's all at this hour. But before we go, here's another look at some of our top stories. We told you that President Bola Tinubu to swear in new ministers on Monday. We also told you that Abia State Electoral Umpire issues certificates of return to winners of local government elections. Finally, you heard that as Sudan's war continues to linger, 13 people have been shot dead in Al Jazeera state. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Dashen Usman.